Chaos is order. Order is chaos. Now I can speak anything because after all chaos. Chaos is chaos. Wonderful subject. Chaos is order. Order is chaos. The first word, chaos is order. When I say the word chaos is order, I speak about the macrocosm, the Brahmanda, or the universe. When I say the word order is chaos, I mean the macrocosm, Pindanda, the body in which you are living. Order is chaos. Chaos is order. You can say in any way because after all it is chaos. There is no need to express the chaos in a clear way. Chaos is chaos is chaos. Whatever way you express, it is that. Now, first let us try to understand the first statement. Chaos is order. It is about the macrocosm or the cosmos, the ultimate expression of energy. Today somebody presented me a beautiful book on quantum physics. Very clearly again and again they emphasize whether it is energy in the atom or the energy in the cosmos. It is totally chaotic. In that chaos, there is some order. Whether it is a whole universe or it is one atom, there is some big chaos. In that chaos, some order which you can't even imagine. You see, when chaos moves in an order, it creates something called consciousness or intelligence. Anything chaos will be wild, energetic. Anything which has got order will be dull. Even in your life you can see. Anything chaos, anything wild will radiate energy. Even you can see when the kids are let free, when they are wild, they radiate so much of energy. Why to go about kids? In your own life, if you are allowed to break some rule, even if it is a small rule, you feel so much of joy and you radiate so much of energy. If some order is broken, immediately you radiate energy. The moment you are allowed to be chaos, immediately you start radiating energy. Chaos is directly related to energy. The wilderness is directly related to energy. I request parents with kids to leave the hall. because now we have enough of chaos. I told yesterday itself, till they are 7, don't bring them to discourse, they don't need it. Because they are already happy, blissful. Don't bring them, they don't need it, only you need it. Only you need to learn. They don't need to learn anything. Whenever you break some law or rules or regulation, you feel so much of joy. Why do you think people feel so much of joy when they dance? Because they don't have to be in order. And I tell you, if you are dancing orderly, you will lose the whole joy of it. If you want to lose the joy of Bharatanatyam, learn Bharatanatyam with all rules and regulation. The moment you learn any dance with rules and regulation, you will lose the joy of it. The moment rules are brought, the joy is taken away. That is why they say the real dance is just the expression of your being, not the form of some exercise. If you learn something and repeat it, do it, then you will be a professional dancer. Others may enjoy, but not yourself. If you have to enjoy means, it should be rules-less. It should be chaos. When you are expressing the chaos, you will be radiating energy. That is why, if you want to make somebody dull, just put some rules, that's enough. Make some rules, the person will be dull. Really tell you, anybody, and it is not that you need to make big rules. Just make simple rules. That's enough to make anybody dull. The moment you know you are bound, you will be dull. The dullness will automatically enter in you. Even if it does not affect you directly physically. For example, you are sitting in the hall. If you know that hall is open, anytime you can leave, your energy will be totally different. You will be alive, fresh and joyful. Suddenly there is information the hall is locked, you can't leave. You will be here. Will you be able to sit? The same hall, the moment you get the idea that you can't leave, you can't be comfortable. Your total energy will change. Your whole mentality, your whole idea will change. Any rule reduces the energy. Any regulation brings your energy down. Even in your house, if somebody says, don't sit in a particular place, always you will feel like sitting in that place. Till they make that rule, you will never even bother to sit there. I tell you, if something has to be, if you have to do something regularly means just start preaching, it is wrong. If you want somebody to do something, if it is a smoking or a drinking, just do one thing, start preaching, it is wrong, it is bad. And simply people will do. And I tell you, I have seen in India, the people who run the breweries means the liquor industry, people who run the tobacco industries, all these guys, they go and pour their money, wealth on these priests and the so-called moral preachers. I was surprised. Why do they pour their wealth? And I asked one guy, see, you make money only by selling liquor. If you spend on advertising, then okay. But why do you give money to somebody who preaches against liquor, who preaches against smoking? The guy said, you don't know the human mind, Swamiji. The more you say it is wrong, more they will do. And in India, legally you can't advertise for liquors. And you know law prohibits us. Legally we can't advertise liquors. So who else will remind people again and again about liquor? How else we can remind the people again and again about smoking? So we just fund the people who go around preaching against the liquor and smoking. That's the best way to remind people about these great things. And one thing, whenever you listen something that it is wrong, unconsciously, simply you get an idea, why not try? Simply you get an idea, why not try? And it really works. I have seen so many times. Actually, you feel you have become a being, a conscious being, only when you say no to others. Again and again people bring their kids and they complain to me about their kids. Swamiji is not listening to me. She is not obeying me. I tell them, kids feel they have become male or female, they have become mature, they have become adult only when they say no to parents. They feel that they have become adults only when they say no to parents. Anything, whatever it may be, they don't bother what you say. All they want to say is no. All they want to say is no. Because they feel the moment they say no, they become grown up. They become adults. They become somebody. And the psychology continues to exist till you die. Even in your case, the moment you have a chance to say no, you feel you are energetic, you are alive. You feel the life only when you can say no. If you can, if you have the power, you will say no to the whole world. Because every time when you say no, you feel you are great. You are something more than others. If you can, you always try to say only no. Because that is the only word which is easy and very comfortable. A small story. One person was considered as a fool in that whole village. Whole village thinks he is a great fool. And nobody respects him. Continuously, they again and again and again they say that you are a fool, you are a fool, you are a fool. And once somebody listens that again and again, naturally he will become a fool. Anyhow, one enlightened master was passing that village. This guy went to that master and asked him, you see, the whole village again and again says I am a fool. Please help me. Why don't you do something so that I will become intelligent? Teach me some technique or mantra so that the whole village will accept me as an intelligent man. The master said, don't do anything, just one small thing. Very small thing. Tomorrow onwards, just start criticizing everything. If somebody comes and stands in front of you with a traditional cloth, start criticizing. Hey, what are you wearing? Still like old fool. Nonsense. If somebody comes in front of you with a modern dress, say, what are you doing? Disrespecting our tradition. What type of clothes you are wearing? If somebody comes and says, oh, what a nice moon. What is there? What do you know? If somebody comes and says, oh, there is nothing today. No, today is a Amavasya, new moon day, no moon. What is there? What do you want to see? What is there? You just start criticizing. Don't do anything. This is a simple thing. Anything anybody says, just criticize. Don't bother about what they say. Simply say no and start criticizing. The guy said, no, I don't have so much of courage. I can't criticize like this. Anybody and everybody. Master said, do you want to become intelligent or not? Do you want to become wise man or not? The guy said, yes, I want to become wise man. I want to become intelligent. Then do this one thing. Do this one thing. I'll come back after a month. Then I'll talk to you again. This guy started doing. He simply started criticizing everything. Whatever comes in front of him, whomsoever comes in front of him. If somebody says, oh, what a beautiful rose, he starts criticizing. What do you know about it? What is there? After all, tomorrow it will not be there. What is there in the beauty? He started criticizing. If somebody says, what is this? This rose is not at all beautiful. Tomorrow it will go away. This guy starts speaking. What do you know? Today why don't you enjoy? Why are you bothering about tomorrow? He started just criticizing. Anything said, he has got something against it. After 1 month, the enlightened master, same master, came back to that village and he was shocked because that fool is now surrounded by so many disciples. Now the fool is sitting under a big tree and so many disciples are sitting at his feet. When this enlightened master came, this guy started addressing him. What is this? What type of clothes you are wearing? Why are you wandering from every city to city? Why don't you stay in a village? Why do you walk here and there? For your age, you can keep quiet. The master was shocked, seeing the power of confidence in him, the way in which his body language has turned, the way in which his expression has changed, and so many disciples sitting in front of him with all the obedience. And slowly master called him out of the disciples. After all, he can't talk to him in front of his disciples. Can you spend few minutes with me alone? Yes. What is there to speak with me alone? Ask now itself anything you want. The master said, do you remember the technique which I gave you last time? Yes. What is there now? The master said, I understood now. You have become a wise man. Have you not become a wise man or not? The guy suddenly remembered the whole thing. And he said, yes. The technique which you taught really works. Actually, this is the way of the world. Whenever you say no, you feel you are great. You feel you are great. The no makes you more solid. Yes makes you very liquid. No makes you very solid. You have to assert. You have to assert. Whenever you break the rules, whenever actually there is no such thing which makes you happy except breaking rule. All your happiness has got only one rule, that breaking the rules. If you make, and actually when you do it, you will not even feel happy. When you smoke, just be conscious. You don't feel happy. You are just sending the smoke, forcing the smoke inside your system. Straight away you don't feel happy. The happiness is just by breaking the rule. Just by becoming wild. It is not that happiness is derived by the physical activity. It is derived by the mental satisfaction that you are wild. You are not bound. You are something more. Almost all your happiness, if you scan consciously, you can understand, comes only when you break the rules. So joy or the bliss is always in wilderness. The energy is in chaos. The whole existence is chaos, but there is something more to it. It is not just chaos. There is an order in that chaos. If the universe is just chaos without any order, it will be towards destruction. All our chaos is just going towards the destruction. You can see very clearly. Anything which destroys yourself, you start thinking it's a great thing. You start enjoying. Or till it destroys you, you go to the extreme. Anything, whatever you call as enjoyment, you don't enjoy till you go to the extreme. Only with extremism, you enjoy. If it is just a chaos, it will only lead to destruction. Universe is not only chaos, there is an order. Apart from chaos, there is an order. That chaos in order is what I call cosmic intelligence. Cosmic intelligence. See, so many planets are moving. There is no traffic sign. There is no cop. There is no signboard. Just they are all moving. They are all moving. And this book, the quantum physics book, says beautifully, the planet Earth on which we are living, even if a single thing, if it is missing, whether temperature or water or ice or fire or any one thing, we have thousands of things. Even if a single thing is missing, we will not be able to live on this planet Earth. So this is not just an accident. The whole chaos has got some order. Science is still not able to prove that there is some order in that chaos because it goes beyond the intellect. But the Upanishads or the mystics are very clear. They are very clear. There is some order in the chaos. That is what they call cosmic intelligence. Yesterday, I was telling you that I met a Nobel Prize winner, Dr. Tons. He was telling me, Swamiji, I feel the whole universe is something special. The whole universe is a spiritual being. It has got its own intelligence. Even though I am not able to specifically prove it with few more words, but I feel it's a intelligence and spiritual being. That is what I mean when I say chaos is order. In that ultimate chaos, there is an order. And please understand, the whole universe has got its own intelligence. It is not just power, it is energy. There is a difference between power and energy. Power plus the intelligence is energy. The energy without intelligence is power. Power is just like a force. Cosmos is not just a force. It is force from intelligence. Or I can say force plus intelligence. It responds to your thoughts. It responds to your being. It responds to your prayers. It responds to your requests because it is intelligence. Somebody goes to Buddha and he asks, who is the creator of universe? Buddha says, the universe itself is a creator. There is no two-person, creator, uncreated. If there is two-person means the creator is only intelligent. Created is not intelligent. It's a product, matter. And he says beautifully, the creation itself is a creator. The cosmos itself is a creator because it has got its own intelligence. It's a living energy. You are sitting inside a living energy. And I tell you, that is what the Taittiriya Upanishad, one of the wonderful Upanishads says, Atma Akashaha, from the Atma comes the Akasha. Akashat Vayuhu, Vayor Agnihi, Agner Apaha, Apa Pritvihi, Pratibhyor Annam. Let me translate this aphorism, this sutra. From the consciousness or the Atman or God, whatever you call, from the ultimate consciousness came the ether. From the ether came the air. From the air came the fire. From the fire came the water. From the water came the earth. From the earth, living, the anna. Anna means the food or the fuel for living beings. This is the way the existence has happened. And logically, if you see, we are able to relate more with this than the evolution theory. Mystics always emphasize, we have come down. The biologists are speaking, we have grown up. Mystics say we have come down from God. God is the origin. Scientists say monkey is the origin. Chimpanzee is the origin. And see the throne. Who is offered the throne? Who is sitting in the throne? Mystics are putting the God on the throne. Scientists are putting the monkey on the throne. And of course, the modern day people who are able to think without any prejudice, they agree that we are not from monkeys. Surely we are not from monkeys. Because the breakthrough looks too big. If we are from monkeys, then all monkeys should have become human beings. It has not happened. Or the human beings should have become superhumans by now. Because for too long, we are just in the human level. See, thousands of years, I can say even millions of years ago, we became human beings. Now for millions of years, no change. We are just vegetating. All we did is, we invented few cars and few bungalows, that's all. Why it is not happening? If it is an evolution, it should have been continued. So today, a lot of people are questioning the evolution theory. Questioning the evolution theory. And mystics again and again emphasize, we are from consciousness or God. And Buddha says, the whole existence itself is living energy. It is living energy. It is intelligence. It has got its own intelligence. It is self-created. There is no creator, created and creation. If these three things are there, naturally the creation doesn't have intelligence. Only the Creator will have. Creator is the owner of intelligence. He handles the whole thing. But world doesn't seem. And I can be sure, single man can't sit and control the whole thing. Single man can't sit and control the whole thing. Whatever size of the laptop or a computer he has got, I don't think he will be able to manage the whole thing. It is not that Creator is separate from creation. The creation itself is Creator, or the Creator is creation. It is intelligence expressing itself. And we can ask, yes, it's okay, but what are we going to do, knowing all these ideas? Now let us come to the practical aspect. As long as you believe that what you see as universe is material, mechanical, without any intelligence, you have nothing else to achieve in the life. If you believe it is material, it is mechanical, it has no intelligence, then naturally might is right is the ultimate law. Might is right is the ultimate law. There is no justice. There is no need for anything. Just all of us can fight wars, and the person who owns will be the leader of the planet Earth. That will become the ultimate law. Believing the world is only a matter is the basic mistake or the basic wrong thing. That is the basic root for all terrorism and violence on the planet Earth. That is going to create only more and more confusion. As long as you believe the universe is just a matter, just a dead thing, be very clear, it is going to create only more and more power thirst. People are only going to become more and more violent, terrorists. They are only going to more and more jump on others, because the person who might is right. Always the people who say who owns, they are the owners. No justice, no clarity. Everyone will start living in their own way. Only when you realize the universe has got its own intelligence, it is a spiritual being, the seed for peace, the basic idea which supports peace is created or encouraged. Only when you understand, your thoughts are responded, your way of life is rewarded, your prayers are answered, there is a living entity, there is a living intelligent force, there is a cosmic intelligent force. Only when you understand it, only when you understand there is an order in the chaos, you can realize, you can work for peace, bliss, spirituality, or whatever you call as a good thing on the planet Earth. You see, in the whole world only there are two minds, two mental setup. Only two mental setup. The people who work for peace, who work for bliss, who care for others, who try to spread love. The sattvic people, we can call spiritual people. This is one mental setup. The other one, the politicians. People who just want to own. People who just want to rule. The whole world you can categorize as two part. Only these two. Be very clear. There is no third category. Either you want to own and rule, or you want to spread love and peace and bliss. Only these two categories. There is no other category. You can see in your being. Search, you will understand. When you believe the world is just a chaos, world is just a matter, without any intelligence, naturally you will become a terrorist, politician, person who wants to own, wants to rule everybody, wants to control, wants to possess, wants to expand his kingdom. The moment you realize, you experience, there is an order in chaos. The cosmos is intelligent. The universe is a living being. It is a spiritual entity or a spiritual being. It has got its own intelligence. It responds to your thoughts. It responds to your prayers. It responds to your mental setup. Only when you realize it, you start working towards spreading peace, bliss and joy. There are thousands of ways. Again and again and again, the cosmic intelligence is proving that it responds to your thoughts. There are hundreds of experiments done. Not only the plants and the animals, even the stones, rivers, the fire, all these things respond to your thoughts. Even all these things respond to your thoughts. There are so many records that stones respond to your thoughts. Water responds to your thoughts. The other day I was reading a beautiful book. The book is called The Message from Water. The Messages from Water. Wonderful book. In that book, that person has done a research. He took water in so many bottles. And every bottle, he writes a word. On one bottle he writes the word love and peace. In the another one bottle he writes the word terrorism, violence. Third bottle he writes the word anger. In another one bottle, God, awareness, consciousness. Something like that. He creates so many bottles of water. And he puts the bottle of love and peace, sits in front of it and chants the word love and peace for some time, creating that emotion. Then he crystallizes that water and looks that water through microscope. And the result is something. Next, he sits in front of that bottle anger and he creates that same emotion. Then he crystallizes that bottle and looks that through microscope. And the third, he takes a bottle of water and chants the Quran. Then he crystallizes that water and studies it. And you will be shocked to see the results. I read that book. Not only I read that book, I saw the results with my own eyes. When I saw the pictures, I was shocked. The love and peace, that bottled water, when he looks through the microscope, just like a gems and diamonds, it looks so nice, shining. And not only that, very clear cut view. And when it comes to the bottle of anger and violence, it looks almost like a ghost. Not clear picture. And it looks vague. And even if you see the picture, you feel like that you get disturbed. When it comes to the word Quran, that bottle Quran, a complete picture of Mecca is appearing. How the Mecca is built. The Mecca temple is built. Just like that same, the plan of the Mecca temple is there and that water. Of course, I was also not ready to believe, just like you all. But I went through completely, not one or two. He has done thousands of researches. Again and again and again it proves the water responds to your thoughts. Water just responds to your thoughts. You can't imagine just a tumbler of water, a glass of water which is in front of you responds to your thoughts. And you can't believe this. And it has become a solid truth. These researches are proving it has become a reality. You can sit in front of a glass of water and speak. It responds to you. It responds to you. You are not speaking alone. You are speaking to glass of water. And don't think glass of water is a dead thing. It is not a dead thing. It can relate with you. It can respond to you. That is why in India, they always stand in the rivers and pray. Because the whole river is getting energized. Actually, long ago I read a story. Reminiscences of British soldiers. I was not able to understand that story. Only when I read this research I was able to understand. Let me tell that story. You will be able to relate. Whenever they come from England to India, they bring water from England by ship. When they come through ship, maybe it takes a month or two. When they come, they bring water from England. That will always get spoiled. They say, they write, that always gets spoiled. That will get spoiled. After 10 days or 15 days, they can't drink water. They will have to go for some other thing. They will have to find something else. But whenever they go from India, the water which they take from India, it never gets spoiled. It will always be there till they reach England. Not only till they reach England, even after that, it will be there. And they were not able to find out why. Then they understood. They are taking the Ganga water. They always go from Calcutta. Calcutta water supply is from the Ganga river. From the Ganga river only they are carrying the water. Then they understood. The water of Ganga, not only holy by faith or belief, it has got a power to clean itself. Automatically it cleanses itself. It rejuvenates itself. It kills all the bacteria. It rejuvenates itself. They did a research on Ganga water. And they come out with a report. It cleanses itself automatically. How can this happen? Now after reading this research I understand, if one person sits in front of a glass of water and chants 10 minutes some good word, if that can change the energy of the water, means millions of people standing 24 hours in that river and chanting the holy mantras and the prayers, offering their devotion, what would have happened to that river? The whole river has become a living energy. That is why in India, they don't call a river, the Ganga as just a river. They call Ganga Mata, Mother Ganga. They worship that river just like a living being. When I read that research, the book Messages from Water, I was shocked. I was able to correlate. What would have happened to that river Ganga? Everything in the universe responds to your thoughts. When you understand that, instead of trying to own, trying to expand your boundaries, instead of trying to expand your borders, you will try to expand your consciousness. If you feel the whole world is chaos, then naturally you will think, what is there? When everything is chaos, how much I can, let me catch and live. All you will get is, you will be just inspired to live with the idea might is right. Only when you understand, no, there is an order in the chaos. There is an order in the chaos. It is intelligent. Only then you will start working. You will start moving in the direction of peace and bliss. When you realize the whole universe is intelligence, the moment even if you start believing, trusting, the universe is intelligence, it has got its own intelligence, you can simply relax trusting it. The surrender can simply happen to you the moment you realize the truth. The cosmos is intelligent. The universe is intelligent. As long as you realize the universe is intelligent, you will always try to hold on to your seat. You will always try for your seat. Not only in politics level, even if you go to spiritual masters, I have not seen any other institutions suffering so much with politics like spiritual institutions. I tell you, all spiritual institutions, the so-called spiritual institutions, filled so much with politics. The so-called spiritual people, they are the real atheists, I tell you. If you want to see an atheist, go to Indian temples and see the people who do that worship. You can see. Every day they touch that idols. Every day they touch that gods and goddesses statues. So slowly, by and by they take it for granted. And they lose the idea it is divine. And a person who goes once in a while, he feels so much of ecstasy in front of that God and devotion. The people who stay there, they forget it is God. They always think it is only stone. And I tell you, the so-called religious people are so-called spiritual people. Only in their institution you can see the peak of politics. Because they don't have a clear trust. Universe is intelligence. The existence is intelligence. It responds to your quality. It responds to your state of being. When you don't understand that, you try to do politics. You think you can catch hold of some seat by your cunning games. I tell you, it is the state which has to bring status. It is the state of your mind which is supposed to precede the status of your life. If just the status is achieved and state is not achieved, two things, understand? The state and the status. State of your mind means the maturity. The status of your life means the external comforts. If the status is achieved without achieving the state of the mind, you will always have a problem. I have seen so many poor guys living in a big bungalows. They will have status, they will have wealth, but they will not be rich. Richness is something more than wealth. When you have the state and status both, only then you are rich. If you trust the existence is intelligence, there is order in the chaos, you will work to achieve the state of the mind. Then automatically status will follow. I assure you, if you achieve the state of the mind, if you are worthy, simply things follow you. We always blame the God. We always say, for my qualification, I think I should have achieved a lot more, Swamiji. But God didn't. God was partial. He didn't give me enough chance. He was partial. Ask everybody. This will be the introduction of their biography. For my capacity, I should have achieved a lot more, Swamiji. I should have been somewhere else. I am sitting here because God did not give much chances to me. And I was not given chances. God was partial. And actually for us, God is a dustbin. Anything achieved, we take the credit. Anything which did not happen, not achieved, the blame goes to God. You try to find somebody to put blame. When you can't find anybody, better to put it on Him, because nobody sees Him. And after all, He will not go to court. You know for sure, He will not go for defamation case. So you can always blame Him and be comfortable. So you just say, He did not give me enough chance. We don't understand the universe is intelligence. How much you can handle, that much only is granted. Many people come to me and they ask me, Swamiji, please bless me to have more wealth. Not only that, they tell me, please recommend, please tell you in your meditation to God that grant my boons. Recommendation through me. Please tell Swamiji, because you are the begotten Son of God. You are close to Him, you have a heart line. When you discuss with Him about all the matters, please put a word about me also and tell Him to do something. I always tell people, He is so compassionate. You see, if you feel that He has fulfilled your boons, He is great. If you feel that He has not answered your prayer, and He is much more great, understand? He is not answering your prayers just because of compassion. I always tell people, if He answers all your prayers, long before you would have killed yourself, you would have destroyed yourself, because we ask all possible nonsensical things. We ask things without even knowing what all the side effects going to happen because of them, because of those things. It's like a early morning when you try to feed the kids. Some kids saw the sun rising and it started shouting, Mom, I want that, get me that fruit. Only then he'll eat. He saw the sun rising and he thought that it's some fruit, and he started demanding for that fruit. Can you bring that sun and give him? No, first of all you can't. Even if you try, you will be burnt. You can't even go near, you will be burnt. Same way only you continuously ask things without even knowing the after effect or side effect. Today morning one devotee was telling me, Swamiji, I chant this sutra, this sloka, it gives me the Ishta Praptiyan. It gives me whatever I want. And I tell you, God blesses you by not giving whatever you want. He is so compassionate, that is why He never answers your prayers. Sometimes He answers, sometimes He never answers. Majority of the time He never answers. Because He is compassionate. You don't even know what you are asking. Many times you don't know what you are asking. And out of His compassion, He never replies, He never answers, He never grants. So be very clear, we are given, our status is directly related to our state of mind. I have seen so many people dying because of wealth. And I tell you, if you have not achieved what you want to achieve, be very clear, God is compassionate. Because the moment you want to achieve what you want to achieve, you will understand what for you want to achieve is not happened. Understand this simple thing, very deep secret. If you achieve what you want to achieve, you will end up in depression of success. At least till you achieve, you will have a hope. You will have a hope. You can pull your life with that hope. The moment you achieve what you want to achieve, you enter into a phase called depression of success. Many people, when they are not able to handle the depression of success, they commit suicide. Around the age of 40 to 45, almost everybody faces this phase, the depression of success. Why do you think all successful countries are facing so much of depression? When you are successful, when you achieve the status without the state of mind, you enter into depression. Depression is the result. You can't handle the wealth which you are having. You can't handle the power which you are having. Without working for buddhi, when you work for Shakti, you end up in depression. Please be very clear. Two things, Shakti and buddhi. Shakti means the power. Buddhi means the intelligence. Shakti is status. Buddhi is state of mind. Without working for the state of mind, if you achieve the status, be very clear, you are on the path of suicide. It is suicidal. If a child gets a knife, what will happen? It will kill others and hurt himself. Same way, without achieving the state of mind, if you achieve the status, be very clear, it is suicidal. Only when you trust there is an order in chaos, the existence is intelligent, there is a spiritual being, what you call as God or Holy Ghost or Brahman, Shiva, Vishnu, whatever name you may give. Only when you experience there is a spiritual being, there is an intelligence running this universe, only then you will work for the state of mind. I have always seen the people who achieve the status without achieving the state, they start hurting others and hurting themselves. All the violence on the planet Earth is just because you achieve the status without achieving the state. You can work for the state only when you believe, when you trust, when you understand cosmos is intelligence. There is an order in chaos. If you just understand everything is chaos, you will become cunning politician, or you will start expanding your boundaries. Only when you understand there is an order in the chaos, you will start turning towards inside. Next statement, wonderful statement. Order is chaos. The first statement is chaos is order. Next is order is chaos. There is a beautiful Zen story. A disciple goes to master and asks, Master, please explain to me how you started, how you traveled, how you attained the ultimate experience. The master says, when I started, mountain is a mountain, river is a river, and tree is a tree. When I was traveling, mountain is not mountain, river is not river, tree is not tree. Again, when I attained, mountain is mountain, river is a river, planet, the tree is tree. Very difficult to grasp, but with a little bit of intelligence you can understand. Before achieving, after achieving, you became very ordinary. Before achieving, even though you think you are extraordinary, you are ordinary. After achieving, even though you are extraordinary, you understand you are ordinary. Before achieving, even though you are ordinary, you think you are extraordinary. After achieving, even though you are extraordinary, you just feel you are ordinary. After achieving, you just see things in an ordinary way, in a very simple way, in a normal way, without any complexity. But in between the gap, you undergo a transit period. Same way, once you achieve the experience of what I call the cosmic intelligence or the intelligence of the universe, once you experience the universal force is not just a force, it is intelligence also. It has got intelligence also. It is not that just a force. A river is not totality of drop of waters. It is something more than drop of waters. That is what I call understanding it has got intelligence. And you should understand one more thing. Nile River is the river worshipped by Egyptians. They recorded the water level of that river every day for last 4,000 years. Nile Nadi is the only river which has got the history of 4,000 years. Every day water level is recorded because they worship that river. And if you read that 4,000 years of history of that river, you will be shocked. Every earthquake is informed. Every flood is informed. Every major fire accident is informed. Every famine is informed by that river to the people. Because they know the language of relating with that river. They know for this water level, if the water is too restless, means something wrong. The river is giving some message to us. For this water level, if the water is calm, then there is something wrong. It is giving some message. For this water level, it has to be this much restless, turbulent. For this water level, it has to be this much calm, peace. They know how to relate with the river. And they related with the river. You will be surprised. If you get a chance, try to read some books on Nile River. You will be shocked. Every single earthquake on the planet Earth, any part of the world, every single natural calamity is informed by the river to the people who worship the river. When you understand, it is intelligence. Cosmos is intelligence. Universe is not the totality of just these 5 elements. It is something more than that. It consciously decides. It consciously responds to your thoughts, to your deeds, to your prayers, to your mind, ultimately to your being. Only when you experience it, then you understand a new dimension of your being. What you call as order, your body, mind and being, there is a wonderful chaos in it. the energy, wilderness in it. When you experience that there is an order in the chaos, the cosmos, macrocosm, you realize there is a chaos in the order, in the microcosm, Pindanda. Macrocosm is Brahmanda, microcosm, the body is Pindanda. This is microcosm, that is macrocosm. When you realize there is an order in the chaos of the macrocosm, you realize there is a chaos in the order of microcosm. You experience there is an ultimate chaotic energy inside your being. You are not just a simple body. You are not just a microcosm. You are a macrocosm in miniature form. You are the miniature of macrocosm. You realize you have the ultimate, endless ocean of potential energy in you, just like universe. When you experience there is an order in the chaos, you experience there is a chaos in your order. You experience you are something beyond, you are something more than what you think. As of now, you think you know about everything about yourself. That is why you think you are very orderly. If you have just combed your hair, brushed your teeth, and washed your clothes, took bath, you feel you are very orderly. You are in order. You think everything of you is under your control. You are integrated. You are okay. You are just in order. You know your boundary. Always we feel we know our boundary. We know our limits. We know what we can do and what we can't do. Who we are. And very order. There are a lot of perfectionists. I call the perfectionists as neurotic people. Perfectionism is a straight way to madness. If you don't like somebody, if you have some enemies, just give them some books about perfectionism and inspire them indirectly to become perfectionists. That is enough to put them into hell. See, nothing else is necessary. With the concept of perfectionism, wherever you go, you will carry your hell. A person who is perfectionist can't be happy anywhere. Wherever he goes, he will find some fault. There will be some problem. Even if he is here, you will start thinking, why Swami has not combed his hair? Why one side is back side and other side is front? And his clothes are like that. I should tell him when I go near him. And why this cloth is like this? One side is high and one side is low. He will come up with something. And if you want to put somebody into hell, somehow, with little difficulty, teach them perfectionism. That's enough. You think you are perfect because you think you know your boundary, your order. That's why you think you are order. When you experience the cosmic intelligence, the order in the chaos, you will realize there is something more than what you think as yourself. You will realize the chaos in the so-called your order. The more mind you have, more you will be perfectionist. Please be very clear. The more the ego, the more you will be orderly. I tell you, now I understand why they use in English for orderly and order. For both they use the same word. Because both are related to ego. If you are egoistic, you will be continuously passing orders and you will be orderly. Both has got same root. That is why for both they use the same word. You will be very orderly and you will be continuously passing orders. And it is very difficult to live with his professors. If your wife or husband is a professor or a teacher, be sure you will not go to hell after death. Because nothing else will be left. Even if you go, you will feel very homely. You will feel very homely. Because they will continuously try to teach. I don't know about America. In India, I know. In India, I know they don't come out of the teachership from the, when they come to the house also. In the house also, they continuously go around with their long stick. It's very difficult to live with them. Especially if your wife is a teacher. And especially philosophy professors. Ordinary, okay, philosophy professors. And being professor itself is enough. Of course, in India I am telling. I don't know about the Western structure in India. Because in India, students are treated like slaves. And really, I am telling the truth. Of course, you see, I have all my respect for India. I praise whatever good things they have done. The ancient education system, it is not like that. See, the ancient education system, the Rishi system, the old system, they start with a mantra, let both of us help each other. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let me translate this aphorism. The master says to the disciples and to the existence, to the God, let both of us help each other. Let both of us help each other to grow and complete this education. Let both of us not have any anger towards each other till we complete this education. Oh God, please help us to maintain and grow together. See the mantra. You will be shocked. And there's a beautiful explanation. You may ask, how can a master grow? How can a teacher grow? By disciples. Disciples grow by teacher. That's you can understand. How can masters grow by disciples? There is a beautiful explanation. Only when a kid is taken birth, only when you give birth to a child, you become mother. Till you give birth to a child, you are only a woman, you are not mother. When you give birth to a child, only then you become mother. It is not that only child takes birth, mother also takes birth. Till that time you are not a mother, you are only a woman. Only when you give birth, you are a mother. So not only a child, mother also takes birth. Same way, when you teach, not only the disciple understands, master also understands the new dimensions of teachings. And I tell you honestly, I grow whenever I teach. Again and again I teach, not for the sake of students. I know how much they will understand. For my sake I teach. I can be sure every one of you contribute for my growth if you feel I contribute for your growth. How much I contribute for your growth, the same way you contribute for my growth. It is always mutual, never one-sided. Anything has to be mutual. I tell you honestly, I grow. It's a straight truth. Even if I am egoistic, even if I don't agree, I grow. I agree that is different. There are some teachers, so-called masters, who don't agree, but I tell you, whenever they teach you, they grow. You are guinea pigs. And I tell you very clearly, Every time when I express, I grow. I grow. The old education system is totally different. But this modern education system, they can't come out of that teacher mold, the professor mold. Being a teacher itself is enough to spoil somebody, and being a philosophy teacher, that's all. You can't live. The orderliness and the order, you see, you maintain order because you think you know all your boundaries. You keep your house so orderly. Why? Because you know the boundary. If you have thousands of acres, what can you do? You can't do anything. You can't keep things in an orderly way. Now you think you are in an order because you think your boundary is very small. The moment you experience the cosmic consciousness, the order in the chaos, you will realize the chaos inside your order. You will realize the Atman or the energy, consciousness inside your body. Then you will never bother about how to keep yourself in order, and simply it will happen. You will not work for discipline. Discipline will happen. Only when you realize the order in the chaos, you will realize the chaos in order. Only when you realize the chaos in order, you will realize the order in chaos. Let me put it in the other way. Only when you realize the cosmic consciousness in your body, macrocosm in your microcosm, you will really become orderly. You will really learn how to be orderly without reducing your energy. As long as you try to become orderly, you will only suppress your energy. All our disciplines are only suppression. That is why the people who are egoistic, people who control, suppress themselves, they don't satisfy just by controlling themselves. They go around and suppressing everybody. You can see, if you are suppressing yourself, you will not stop with that. You will suppress everybody. Whomsoever comes inside your boundary, you will suppress them. If somebody is happy, you can't tolerate. If you are unhappy, if you are suppressive, you can't tolerate somebody's happiness. It is too much. That is why we can't bear the kids' joy. When kids enjoy, laugh, jump around, whirl, you say, shut up, keep quiet, sit in a corner. Why do you think you say that? You can't bear, you are too jealous. I tell you the truth. Unconsciously we are jealous. Once they become dull, dead, just like us, then we are very happy. Then we understand, oh, now we have our hair, our person. Anything, when you are suppressive, you suppress others also. If you are orderly, without realizing the chaos in your being, not only you will be suppressive, you will be suppressing everyone. So realize the order in chaos, the macrocosm, you will become a spiritual being. Realize the chaos inside the order, you will start expressing the compassion. When you realize the chaos inside your order, you will accept yourself and others as they are. Till then, you can neither accept others nor accept yourself. You will be continuously condemning others with anger, condemning yourself with guilt. Guilt and anger is just because you are not realizing the chaos in your order. Whatever you think as order, your boundary, it has got chaos in it. Your being, the ultimate being, It's a deep chaos, energy, pure energy. When you realize that, you will accept yourself as you are and you will accept others as they are. First, when you realize the order in the chaos, you will become a spiritual being. When you realize the chaos in the order, you will become compassionate being. You will start expressing. So, the bliss and compassion will happen to you. First bliss has to happen, only then the compassion will happen. First it has to happen in you, only then you will express it. If the love happens to you in your being, it will be bliss. If it starts expressing through you, it will become compassion. The experience part of love is bliss, expression part of love is compassion. When you realize the order in chaos, you will experience the experience part of love, bliss. If you realize the chaos in the order, you will express the expression part of love, compassion. So bliss and compassion will simply happen to you when you understand the order in the chaos and realize the chaos in the order. So let you all realize this ultimate truth. I pray to that ultimate intelligence, divine consciousness, cosmic intelligence, the energy, the intelligent energy which moves this whole universe, to give this cosmic awareness and cosmic consciousness to all of us and make us realize the chaos in the order and order in the chaos, and let us all experience the compassion and bliss and reach the ultimate eternal bliss, Nityananda. Thank you.